last night. A fascinating debate between Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama and Bernie Sanders, and we're going to get to that and your thoughts on it and my thoughts on it. There's a whole bunch of stuff in the news. But first, I'm very pleased to have with me David Axelrod. He served as a senior advisor to President Barack Obama and the Obama-Biden presidential transition. He was the senior strategist to Barack Obama's 2008 and 2012 campaigns. He's currently the director of the Institute of Politics at the University of Chicago and a senior political analyst. And he's the author of a new book, which New York Times bestseller already, titled Believer, My 40 Years in Politics. David Axelrod, welcome to our program.
Good to be with you.
Great to have you with us. And your Twitter handle, by the way, is at David Axelrod for people who want to say hi. It's a brilliant book, and it's a wonderful kind of retrospective of 40 years in politics, and I loved you getting so many of the real progressive lions of our history into it, and talking about your inspiration. In fact, the last couple of pages at the very end of the book, where you've got one of the best calls for action to get involved in politics, was brilliant. But I'm curious, in your mind, what is the important carry-home message? What do you want people to know about your book, and how do you want your book to change people when they read it?
Well, look, it's called Believer for a reason, Tom. I believe that politics is the means by which we grab the wheel of history and turn it. And I wanted, there's such cynicism today about politics and public service that I wanted to write a book and tell my story and give people a sense of why this stuff matters and why it's important. As you point out, I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of really great people over the course of my career who have made a fundamental difference in their communities, in their states, and now for a president who I think is going to be remembered as a very, very consequential president. And I've seen the consequence of politics when you elect people who have a determination to make a difference. And so I really wanted to leave people with a sense that, yes, this is worthwhile, and I'm going to get into the arena and pay attention. And, this is also why I started the Institute of Politics at the University of Chicago. You've got all these very public-spirited young people, probably the most public-spirited I've seen since the 1960s. But, they're skeptical of politics. They're not cynics, but they're skeptical. And their instinct is to say, well, let's create an app, to deal with this problem. Let's organize through social media. Powerful forces, but not a substitute for the decision for government, where a lot of decisions are made that are going to impact on the equities that are so important to them. So, that's why I wrote the book. I want people to be believers too.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful story. It starts with you being a journalist and then deciding to jump into politics. I thought the parts where you were running ads by Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, and she said, "No, that's not corny. That's a good ad." There's just all these little anecdotes.
We can. That was the slogan, the tagline on the spot. This was for our race in 2004. Yes, we can. And I so loved it. And he said, "Oh, is it too corny?" Thank God Michelle was there to watch the filming of the spot. She said it's not corny.
Yeah,
he wasn't sure about me, but he sure trusted her judgment.
It's a brilliant book, and I recommend it to everybody. One of the things, and I confess I haven't read the entire book, but I have spent a fair amount of time with it.
Well,
I didn't see anything in it about the changes in the Democratic Party that came about as a result of Al Fromm's efforts that he has written about in his book back in the late '80s when he went down to Arkansas to then Governor Bill Clinton and said, let's basically have a bloodless coup within the Democratic Party and flip it from the old FDR Democratic Party to a more corporate-friendly Democratic Party because the Republicans are destroying the unions and our funding is drying up. And the changes that has happened in the party over the last 30 years, roughly, as a consequence of that. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you say a bloodless coup.
No, Al Fromm said that. That was his phrase.
Yeah, but the part of the
he bragged about it actually.
At that time, when there wasn't that much blood left. The Democratic Party was in deep distress. We had lost several elections badly, and so there was a need to renew the party. I would my view of this is we should always be wedded to the goal of a country where people can get a fair shake, where people can get ahead, where people are treated justly, and we should always be committed to that goal. We should also always be, particularly in this age, open to new ways to achieve those goals.
Even if that means getting in bed with banksters like Jamie Dimon.
Well, no, I'm not suggesting that because
that's what Bill Clinton did, and that's what Barack Obama did.
Well, Tom, I would deeply disagree with you on the in the administration that I was a part of, because I remember I still have these scars battling for Dodd-Frank and the financial.
No, I get that, but when Reagan in '83 deregulated the S&Ls, and all of us were predicting there's going to be a crash, there sure enough was in '86, and by '87, or maybe I'm a year off here, by '87, Reagan had the FBI investigating 1,000 banksters. Over 100 of them went to prison. There was no analog to that after this crash, and there's far more criminality, and far more banks have pled guilty to actual crimes. It seems like the DNA of Al Fromm is all over that, or am I just being paranoid here?
No, I think that there was great culpability on Wall Street for the crash that we had. Part of the problem that we had was what tools and laws were available to deal with that, and the challenge that we had, Tom, was not simply to hold people accountable. It was to keep the economy from crashing into a second Great Depression. At the time that we came to office, the financial system was literally
paralyzed,
on the verge of collapse. No loans were being given, and the financial system was on the verge of collapse. And you can't have an economy without a functioning financial system.
I get that, and I don't want to debate policy with you.
Financial system.
I said I don't want to debate policy with you. I want to respect your book.
Okay, I know you do that.
A quick question, because we only have a minute left. My understanding is that the president could ask Mary Jo White, the head of the Securities and Exchange Commission, to require all publicly traded companies to disclose political activity, and that he could, by executive order, require all federal contractors to disclose political activity. Those two things could be done in a day. Why have they never been done?
Political activity meaning donations.
Lobbying and campaign contributions, yes.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what authorities are available, and I can't answer. I haven't worked in the White House for 3 years. I think that it would be a positive step. You and I probably agree on this issue.
Okay. All right. David Axelrod, the book is called Believer, My 40 Years in Politics. And David, I hope I didn't sound contentious. I think that you've written a brilliant book, and I've
lived in this world a long time. Contention is no problem.
Cool. Okay. Because I share your passion for politics, and I agree with you that Barack Obama is going to be one of the most consequential presidents in our history, and you played a big role in that. David Axelrod, thank you for being with us today.
Good to be with you.
To watch more clips from our programs, hit the Watch More Videos button over here, and please be sure to hit the handy-dandy subscribe button so you'll always be up to date. Tag, you're it.